I still need to make my coffee, but, you know, you can talk to the people while I do that or something. Going live. Going live.
Maybe. Apparently fashionably late. Potentially.
Yeah. How late do you have to be for it to be fashionable? This is 11 minutes. I think that's reasonably fashionable.
I also, looking at the preview, never realised you cropped quite so tightly, so I'm just going to nudge myself out slightly.
I can adjust you, yeah. It's quite difficult to get two people on the screen like this. I'm going to sneak you along there. Oh, you're coming off screen there. About that. A bit further back. I need to get rid of that annoying black line. Okay. Oh, that's... Oh, another pixel. Alright, there we go. That's good enough. Lock.
Fix it on the night.
Right, that's it.
Live. Something along those lines. Whatever.
That's it. Right.
Anyway.
Good
Did you
evening.
actually remember to capture my microphone?
Yes, you are audible.
Good lord.
I haven't remembered to notify anyone, but I'm going to go and make coffee, and you can notify people and perhaps say hello to the audience as well.
Absolutely. So... Good evening. Welcome. For once, it's not my fault that we're late. Amazingly. Somehow. It's, yes, usually a case of everyone going, oh, it's Caradoc, but no, not tonight. So anyway, good evening. Welcome. How are we all doing? Exactly, singing. Yes. Now the question is, does people actually need notifying to be told that we're live, or were we sufficiently late enough that people suddenly remembered and then went, oh yes, they're live, and came in before we actually started up? That is always the question. So hey. Yes. Okay. Good evening. Welcome again.
I have returned with a cafetiere. There we go.
Good.
Right. Rock and roll.
Yes. I was watching a video on Friday. Good God, that was yesterday. I've completely forgotten what days of the week are. About, does streaming to YouTube hurt your YouTube channel?
Ah, okay,
and the consensus was basically, no, streaming to YouTube doesn't hurt your YouTube channel. You're just doing it wrong. So I was just like, okay, fair enough. I mean, possibly slightly rude, but it also told me another thing that, yet again, Google, if you have notifications turned on and you don't click on a notification, will mess with your notifications and not notify you next time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I said subscribe, give me their videos. Oh, fine, now I have to enable notifications to get told when someone puts up a video.
You've got to click the bell and then ring it, and then you've got to ring it again. You've got to do a hecking rain dance. I should do another video and make it like an annual thing where I do a video that basically says to everyone, stop using the YouTube homepage. Change your bookmark to the subscriptions page. Delete your bookmark for YouTube homepage and make it the subscriptions page. Because also, if you change your bookmark, when you click on the address bar and you type in YouTube, it will automatically autofill to the subscriptions page because that's the one you've got bookmarked. And if you go to your subscriptions page, you will never miss a thing. I never miss anyone I'm subscribed to because I use the subscriptions page. That's it, I'm done.
Sorry, that just makes me think of, Armageddon.
What?
I don't want to miss a thing. Even the sweetest dream.
It's too early for us to descend into that.
What, to descend into delirium? No, I'm pretty sure it's fine. It's already gone 7.
Right.
But yeah.
Subscriptions doesn't show everything. Oh, really?
But Google, that's the point. That's the point of subscriptions.
I don't believe I've missed anything via subscriptions. I stand to be corrected, but...
Oh, that's horrifying. It's annoying to me as someone who wants to watch the videos that people upload, which is why I subscribe to them.
Yeah.
But no, apparently
imagine that, yeah.
Apparently that's not how you're supposed to use YouTube. Subscribe to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I find now I just go to the videos page for the channels I want to watch. So I go to their channel, click videos, and then see which videos there are.
I do that occasionally. Yeah, I do that if I know they've released something recently that I saw on subscriptions, but I left it a week or so, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't get that video that I wanted to watch, and I can't be bothered to scroll through the subscriptions page. I'll go directly to the channel. So I do still use the channel page now and then. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, and I found that not using the subscriptions page and kind of just going to the channels, I've ended up only watching like 3 channels. I'm just like, oh. I don't know if that means I was never really interested in the other channels, or I just forgot, kind of thing. But yeah, it's a difficult problem when, as far as I can tell, every app basically says subscribe to at least 1,000 people, and then we might show you some of their content some of the time.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, I did a video on this a couple of years ago, which is titled "Don't Ring My Bell." Where I legitimately said to people, can you please take control of your own news feeds? The reason why they keep doing algorithms is because people just subscribe to everything, then get overwhelmed by it all, and then watch nothing. So then they're like, okay, well, we'll make an algorithm that funnels just what you seem to be interested in. It's like, no, instead of doing that, why don't you teach people to manage their own content or their own news stream, But
yeah, basically.
Anyway.
But yes, apparently, yes, it was all the fact of, just off the back of watching that video, saying, streaming to your channel doesn't hurt it, but it's a case that you need to make the stream watchable as a non-live video and stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, I can see both of them, or hide it. Because if you then mark it as private afterwards.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just being too concerned about the odd comment, because the reason why I have the concerns about the usefulness of the podcast is that I mean, I haven't seen one in a while now I think about it, but for a while when we started doing the podcast, I was seeing comments popping up on videos saying, oh, you never post videos anymore, it's all just the talk show. And I'm like, no, I never missed a beat. There was always a video every week, like clockwork. Like, I think the
irregular clockwork, but clockwork.
Yeah. Like, it might have been that there was one Monday and then there was one the next Friday, which granted is, there is a longer than a 1 week gap between those. However, every calendar week at some point there was a video. So that's kind of that's kind of why I had the concern about it. But then it's also just that the YouTube analytics, so the ones that you see when you go to YouTube Studio, there is a quick analytics one. There's just a headline, so subs, subs, views, income kind of thing, and that seems to be as fickle as the British weather, basically, where like that certainly there was a phase of that where I would open it up and it would be like, yeah, green arrows across the board, everything's on the up. And then a couple of hours later, I would open it up and it would be red arrows. So, and like the thing is, there's stages. There's a line which is sort of no real change. There's a grey up or down arrow to indicate slight increase or slight decrease. Then to get a green up arrow or a red down arrow, that has to be this value changed by more than 20% or so. So going from a green up arrow to a red down arrow, like a couple of hours later, it's just like, what? How did it change by that much in the space of a couple of hours? And then you come back a couple of hours later and it'd be on the green up arrows again. And it's like,
I think the thing that really doesn't help the analytics is they compare the analytics saying this video has done really well in its first hour compared to the first hour of all of your other videos. This video has done really poorly in the first hour and 15 minutes compared with all other videos. This video has done a really good job in the first hour and 30 minutes compared to all other videos. And it just refreshes like it keeps changing the timescale that it's talking about as you keep going back to it. And it's just like, I understand why you're doing that, because you're saying the current timescale we have, this is how it's doing compared to the other stuff. But because it's refreshing it so quickly, it feels less useful and entirely almost arbitrary.
There's definitely
like a couple of the times we've seen, or excuse me, I've seen in there a video that has gone, this video's doing really well, gone right up, and then crashed straight back down again because it kind of got updated later and stuff, and it's just makes the stats really hard to read.
Yeah, there's an art to reading, and I think also I've also got to keep an open mind about what kind of video it is as well, and what my expectations for that video are. Because, for example, review videos are always slow burners. Review videos always perform poorly in the first couple of days, but they continue to accumulate views over time. Whereas the repair videos have an initial boom and then tail off, but the reviews just slowly pick up over time. So, there is and I think that's one of the things that can make the analytics difficult to read, because I'll release a video that I know is going to be a slow burner, and the analytics will say, this is not doing very well. And I'll be like, I know, but give it time, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh dear.
But yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's do some tech and some questions, I guess. So
absolutely.
Let's see.
What's released this week?
There was
bits in stock. Absolutely nothing.
I bought a 5950X yesterday. So yeah.
Congratulations.
I don't get to keep it. It's not. It's for a customer, but. I was on scan. A customer called me up who they'd spoken to me like last summer, and they wanted to do a 3950X build, but the project got delayed. Then they gave me a call yesterday and were just like, I need this immediately. The project that we're working on, which is like a geography project where they've got to crunch seismic numbers or something like that. The project concludes at the end of February. So I'm just like, woo, we're a bit late in the day for this.
Surely
we're building a workstation for a project that ends in a month. But yeah, so I jumped on scan, and obviously everything is out of stock, but they had a 5950X as part of a bundle deal, and so I was just like, we need to change out the RAM, but the motherboard will do, and the CPU is there, and they were just like, also comes with the Wraith RGB cooler, and I'm like, I'm not using that cooler. But the thing is, it was a case of I'll buy the bundle and then just break it to parts, and I get the CPU. So
sorry, Scan were bundling the Wraith cooler with a 5950X when the 5950X doesn't come with a cooler, because AMD is fully aware that anyone who buys a 5950X is going to put a CLC on it.
And I think that's why this bundle was in stock, because it was a really odd mix. However, obviously, being a computer repair shop, I'm more than happy to buy a bundle and break it for parts, because the RAM in it was a 32 gig kit and I wanted a 64 gig kit. But I'll just sit on that 32 gig kit. I'll find a use for it,
Absolutely.
I mean, with any luck, it'll be 4 sticks. I mean, it's probably going to be 2 16s, but if with any luck, it might be a 4x8, in which case I can split it into 2 16 gig kits, which I can easily shift somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing, and it came with a cooler that doesn't make sense, and I'm just like, who cares? I'll chuck that in the bin. I got them lying around, So
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
it's just a bit daft, but
yeah. So I'll have something that works, and I'll be able to do a 5950X build, which will be quite rad. But yeah, that was in stock. So
yeah, it's. I think at the moment that's kind of the way for an awful lot of it, is that so much of the stock is being directed towards system integrators and bundle deals.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, because obviously SIs chuck through such high volume of stuff and make and that's where most of the money, I'd imagine, is actually made.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense to put it there, but it's just surprising because I can't remember who was selling it, but someone has just put together a new mini bundle PC with a 3060 in it, and they was selling it for like £1,050.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to buy 3060s.
That's just it. It's quite possible that there are some computers like that out there where if you've got the time for it, you could probably turn a profit by buying it and breaking it for parts, or at least just pulling the graphics card out of it, selling it, and then just sitting on the PC until the market sorts itself out, and then selling it again. But yeah. I mean, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon, but it's a crazy world out there right now.
I was initially looking on, someone was linking one of those external GPU docks. They were selling them for like £400 or £410. And it's like, if you wanted to, you could split out the graphics card for £400 on its own and sell that on eBay for $410. And it's just like, basically just kind of going, I can get an external GPU dock for free.
Which is not bad if you own a laptop, quite frankly, because they're heckin' expensive.
Yeah, so, absolutely. But it's just kind of, I initially thought when I first saw it, because I looked through Amazon quickly for 2060 prices, and they were all like £800. And I was just like, wait, I can buy one of these docks, sell the graphics card, and end up with more money than I had.
Yeah.
But no, not quite. Annoyingly. So,
Right. We always end up talking about stock, and that's probably just because that's kind of what everyone is talking about these days. So I'm going to hit up the chat with some questions. So I'm going to quickly whiz through a couple. Firstly, Dark Minion, stupid question. Is there an easy way to turn SLI back on for old cards like GTX 960s? You can still SLI old cards, I think. You might have to run some older drivers. However, the problem is that there's very little that really uses SLI at the moment, is my understanding, because everyone's moved away from it. So I don't know if there's actually any value to it in the slightest. I mean, has support actually been removed from the drivers for it, Caradog?
I don't know if it has happened, but I know it is happening, that they are specifically removing support from the drivers at some point. And the only thing that will be remotely close to supported is explicit multi-GPU, which is the DirectX 12 feature.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like Ashes of a Singularity, that uses explicit multi-GPU, which allows you to use an NVIDIA and AMD GPU together, rendering the same frame, which is kind of
neat. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Not particularly useful, I'd say, but neat.
Yeah. At the very least, though, personally, like, I get it if you've got some old 960s lying around and you want to try and SLI them to get something. I still probably wouldn't bother, to be honest. I would just I would figure out which one is the best out of them, which one overclocks the best. Chuck that one in, overclock the balls off of it, and hold out for the graphics card market to fix itself.
Yeah,
so,
basically. Yeah. Because even if you got 100% performance scaling, 100% performance scaling on a 960 takes you to the same performance as, a 1660 Super. So it's just kind of... That's good. That's good enough. But that's assuming near 100% perfect scaling.
Yeah, and that's assuming that you're going to play the game that supports it as well. And, some of the older games may well do, but even then it's still a bit hit and miss, I think. So,
I think I noticed about 10 to 15 FPS bonus on running SLI 980s in, like, The Witcher 3.
Yeah. That's a good point as well, Dark Minion. This actually came up in the Discord chat the other day where someone had some 980s or something that they were SLIing. And
they were 970s.
Oh, yeah, there were two 970s. And yeah, in the end, what we actually said, they wanted to stream as well. And what we actually said was take them out of SLI and just use one of them for the game and one of them for NVENC for your streaming coding. And so actually, yeah, using one of them for physics or encoding or something like that, that's a good idea. Because while NVENC doesn't hit your graphics card very much, it does still hit it. And if you're maxing your graphics card, it does hit. So having a dedicated card for encoding, not such a terrible idea if you've got them laying around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where I'd be going. Is if I kind of had to use 2 graphics cards, if that makes sense, it would be for something explicitly like that, like NVENC, like PhysX, like running 6 screens at once. Because obviously if you run 2 independent graphics cards, each one can drive 3 or 4 screens. So in theory, you could have 6 or 8 screens.
Yeah.
And that's the only other reason I can really think of why you'd have it.
Yeah. I think there's a few things that specifically are using PhysX still. You can still specify a card for it in the NVIDIA settings, I think. So,
yeah,
and again,
I've no idea what's just using it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got, as I say, I mean, like, again, I'd never recommend buying cards to do this, but we're at a point where a lot of people probably have a lot of it's not uncommon to have lots of old graphics cards laying around if you've been buying and selling cards over time. And right now, considering no one can buy good graphics cards, now is kind of a good time to dust off your old graphics cards and go, okay, this is all I have to work with. Just lob them all in there. Who cares?
Let's see what it can do, kind of thing.
So, Ben Laird, thank you very much for the £10 super chat there. Can you recommend a 1TB M.2 NVMe drive? As of prices on Amazon yesterday, as someone else said, the Sabrent Rocket, not the Rocket Q, the Rocket, the non-Q, the black one, is currently pretty good bang for buck. It's about, the 1TB one is about £120. And I reckon that's probably about as good a value as you're going to get right now. The QLC drives, so like the Rocket Q, which is the white one, and the other QLC drives like the Crucial P1 and so on. Those ones are a bit cheaper. They're like 100 or 110. However, the Sabrent Rocket being TLC is the other one, I think, being the good type. For an extra £10, that's worth it, in my opinion. If you want to go for big performance, like Samsung performance and stuff like that, you'll end up spending 150 plus. So obviously, it's like 50% more money for that performance, and it's up to you whether that's worth it or not. However, I think the Sabrent Rocket at 120 quid, good bang for buck. What are you mulling over there?
I was very confused because there is a Sabrent Rocket 1TB. There's a Sabrent Rocket 1TB, and there's a Sabrent Rocket Q 1TB.
Oh no! What's the difference between the two non-Qs?
So the white one, the Q, is
QLC.
That yeah. There is the black and blue one, which is PCIe Gen 3, and there is the bronze, copper, and black one, which is PCIe 4.
Yeah,
the PCIe 4 one is £160.
You know, for PCIe,
PCIe 3 one's 120. So
yeah. For PCIe 4, £160, that's not horrendous. That's not half bad. I would still get the black and blue one. I think that's the best bang for buck. But again, it's your money. You know, you can decide what you want to pay for there. However, the Sabrent Rockets, they seem to be offering the best bang for buck at the moment. Someone mentioned the Intel 660p. I'm not a huge fan of the 1TB 660p at the moment because I've got one and it's not very good at caching as soon as it's more than like 60% full. Now I've used the 660p and the Crucial P1, which is almost identical in quite a number of builds, and it is still a good it's still a good SSD. However, with drives like the Sabrent Rocket, the black and blue one, with TLC NAND in it, with those being only like £10 more, that's a no-brainer. You know, as I say, when you're paying like £50 more for the next stage up in performance, that's a considerable increase in price. However, for another 10 quid, it's a no-brainer to get the black and blue Rocket, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's what I would be going with. Corsair MP600. That's the Gen 4 one, I think, isn't it? The MP600. And I'm assuming that's I'm assuming
it seems
that's
to be quite expensive.
Yeah, 160 plus at least, I would imagine, for that. So the ADATA XPG for 115. That seems like a good price. However, I've heard that that XPG drive is a complete lottery in terms of performance.
Yeah, there's like 19 different versions of it that you might pick up.
The XPG SSDs, they use whatever components are good on them, are cheap on the market at that particular build run. So you can buy two ADATA XPG SX8200 Pro drives, and they could have completely different chips on them. So it's luck of the draw as to how good it will perform. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Also, so I would take, as I say, you roll the dice with that one.
Absolutely. The absolute cheapest 1 terabyte drive seems to be the Intel 665p.
665?
Yes. And it is using 3rd generation 3D QLC as opposed to 2nd generation 3D QLC.
Okay.
NAND flash.
I wonder what the performance is like on that, because it's still
apparently
QLC.
Higher. It's got higher IOPS and higher maximum sequential bandwidths, according to Intel's own stats. £86 for a terabyte.
Ooh, that's very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're on a budget and you're trying to squeeze every last penny out of your budget, then that is a very, very compelling offer. You know, because like
absolutely,
that's you know, that is because that's like the next one up that is worth, because the next stage up from that will be that Sabrent rocket at 120 quid. So you know, that's near that, you know, that's £35 cheaper. That's a lot when you're budgeting. So
absolutely,
that's definitely a thing to think about. So
interestingly, though, the 2 terabyte version is £250.
250? No.
Yeah, the pricing is really good for the 1 terabyte one and really bad for the 2 terabyte one.
No, mate. No. No.
What?
No, mate.
But yeah, the if you want absolute cheapest, the absolute cheapest 2 terabyte one is the Western Digital Blue SN550, which is an absolutely fine cheap drive.
Is that one
188?
Is that one NVMe or SATA?
NVMe.
Okay,
I'm only looking at NVMe drives.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Because I was going to say I'm 99% certain that there is a Western Digital Blue in SATA and NVMe variety, because Western Digital's branding is screwed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, something to think about. Would you recommend buying a Samsung 980 Pro SSD? Well, they are really hecking good, but they're also expensive. It's for the average user, I don't think you'll notice the difference between that and something like the Sabrent Rocket. However, if you're a workstation user and if you're doing some work that involves shunting lots of files around a lot of the time, or you're doing like VMs or something that involves lots of a lot of drive hammering where you're reading and writing from the drive constantly, then you will appreciate the Samsung. So yeah.
Yeah, the 980 Pro 1 terabyte is £200.
980 Pro.
Just,
it's
just
a lot
so
of money.
Far out of whack that it doesn't make sense. When you can get the Sabrent PCIe 4 one for £50 less.
I think Samsung know that people will buy them because brand.
Yeah.
You know, they know that there is a big enough market of people out there that turn up their nose at any SSD that doesn't have Samsung written on it, and will buy a Samsung Pro regardless of the price. They'll be like, no, the Samsung is faster. And it's just like, come on, it's not like 2 gigabytes per second is slow, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's just like when the cheaper drives are easily hitting 2,000 megs per second now, and it's just like, come on, that is not like. Don't get me wrong. If drive performance directly makes your job go faster, then you want the fastest one money can buy, sure. However, for most people are gamers, and gamers do not need turbo hard drives, you know. So
Yeah, exactly. So I don't
Fun
know.
reviews,
Using
rocket gen views going. Yeah. Yeah.
based
Don't know.
off of the Anantech Destroyer, their own custom benchmarking conglomeration of activities. The
Yeah.
Sabrent Rocket Q 8 terabyte is the absolute fastest in that for consumer drives.
Yeah.
So it beats out the 970 and 980 Pros
Fair enough.
anyway. So it's kind of, but obviously it's 8 times the capacity.
Yeah, I'm guessing
So
that's winning through sheer density.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But it is a case that, yeah, the 970 Pro and 980 Pro are the fastest 1 terabyte drives. So it's kind of, if for some reason you were specifically saying I'm only buying a 1 terabyte one, and you were like, it must be the absolute fastest one, then I guess you'd buy one of those. But
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know
to be
why
honest,
you wouldn't pony up the extra money for like an Intel Optane drive, like one of the workstation Optane drives.
yeah, if you're getting into the high end, yeah. Again, it's the message starts getting diluted because we're not really specifying exactly what our scope is. But I think for a lot of people, if you're buying a 1 terabyte SSD, you're probably doing a quality build, so a typical gamer build. For that, you probably want to spend about 100 quid on your SSD. So finding something for about 120 quid for a decent one, quite reasonable. So
yeah, absolutely.
So
and
yeah,
I need to. The Sabrent rockets have come down in price. At least the 1 terabyte ones seem to have done a little bit.
Yeah, I think the rocket is the way forward at the moment. So yeah. So best water cooling graphics card to buy. A reference card.
The reference card, and then stick an EK or Alpha Cool block on it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The reference card is what you want, or find someone who is using the reference design. So but obviously that is reference designs are a bit sketchy at the moment because obviously the latest founder cards are quite a funky thing that none of the partners are really using.
Don't forget, the Founders Edition is not the Reference Edition.
That is true. I was about to say there is still a reference design, though, isn't there? So,
yes. The other thing is, obviously, if you're looking at best water-cooled graphics card, you're probably going to want to look at something made by EVGA or one of the Strixes, the Asus Strixes, just because certainly the EVGA ones, if you know where to look, you'll find BIOSes which are unlocked and will go up to 700 or 800 watts.
Yeah.
And on the Asus side, obviously they use much harder binned cores than other brands. So between those two, if you're looking at water-cooled cards because you want overclocking, basically you're looking at EVGA or the top-end Asus ones.
And as a result of the EVGA and Asus cards being higher bin cards, those are the cards that people like EK and so on are generally making water blocks for as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to increase your compatibility for water blocks. So
yeah, absolutely.
Water coolers are known for leaking and destroying your hardware. Not really. There's always horror stories. However, the thing is that one dude posting on tech support gore with a leaky AIO that's going to go viral, and a million people are going to be like, oh, those AIOs, they leak everywhere. I saw a picture of that. Meanwhile, a million other people with AIOs have never had a problem with theirs. There's always going to be one, but that's the one that everyone talks about. You know, I have fitted many AIOs. Failure rate on them, I've still only seen, I think, 2 failed AIOs, and none of them have been leaks. They've both been pump issues, which is the most common fault on an AIO. So yeah, I'd have no concern about that at all.
Absolutely. It appears, at least at the moment, EK in their Quantum line only have coolers for the reference design 3080 and 3090s.
Yeah.
They don't have any for any of the special edition EVGA or Asus ones currently. So interesting. However, obviously, if you're really going to get into the weeds, AlphaCool will custom make you water blocks for your graphics cards and stuff like that.
I bet that costs a pretty penny.
Charge.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they'll custom make you one if you've got deep enough pockets.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, you know.
Let's see. Right. So tell us about Fan. What about Fan? I'll answer your other question from earlier on, PC Bolt. You asked about microphones earlier on, where you said condenser microphones with hiss. If you're getting hiss on your microphones, something is putting a lot of gain on it, basically, is the problem there. Or there's two things. Is when you have a condenser microphone, so this kind of dealio, there's two things that will give you hiss. Number one is Caradog demonstrating that he also has a condenser microphone in front of him. He's keeping. I was
doing the My Attractive Assistant.
Okay, yeah. See, I keep mine off shot so you can't see it. Whereas Caradog is just like, I want everyone to see that I've got a nice microphone. You know.
No. I'll just do that when I've got an SM7B.
Oh no!
I'll specifically position the camera here and the microphone here, so 70% of the screen is just filled with SM7B.
I am genuinely starting to dislike the Shure SM7B because it's just that one microphone that everyone's just like, you got to get an SM7B, and it's just like, yeah, it's a good microphone, but it's not. There are lots of other microphones out there. And for like 99% of people, a decent USB condenser is fine. It's fine. Anyway, so hiss on a USB condenser. If it's a USB condenser microphone, the really cheap ones can sometimes have really bad grounding inside them. And this one that I'm actually using, this is a Behringer. It's a Behringer. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna have to mute a sec. One moment. I won't bother. It's a Behringer C1U, I think. And this one is a really cheap condenser mic. It was like £25.
Yeah.
And doesn't actually sound too shabby as long as you've got it in your face. And this one had really terrible grounding. And what I actually did was I took it apart. I've got a video of it somewhere, but I took it apart and they had spray painted black all the internal parts of it, which had just, so it wasn't grounded internally. And what I did was I scraped all the paint off of all of the screw holes, put it back together again, so all the screws were grounding everything together, and that completely fixed the hiss on it. So A, consider taking your microphone apart and checking that the insides are not painted. And B, the other thing to do as well is, as I say, you want to have in your Windows settings. If you open up, hang on a sec, am I good to do a? Yes, I am. I need studio mode. I'm just going to quickly desktop capture, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, I just need to quickly check if I'm good to do a desktop capture right now. Left screen.
Oh dear.
There we go. That'll do. Yeah. Oh, carry on. £30. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. So, where is it? Sounds, system, audio. Oh, there it was, sound. So you go to your sound, you go to sound control panel, and in recording, you want to make sure that your microphone, your level, you need to play around with this setting here. Now, my one, I have it right up at full because the Behringer has really terrible gain on it. Nice email. So what? It's my email address. Send me a message. I don't care. You might want to consider having this at like 97, just not quite maximum, but like as high as you can, because this is the first stage of gain. So you want this to be as high as you can to get as much out the microphone. Then after that, when you're in OBS and whatever you're doing to actually capture the microphone, if you're adding in another gain stage there, you want that one to be as low as you can get away with. So you want to have as much gain as possible at the first stage, at the input, so you can use as little gain as possible in OBS. Because remember, every time you apply amplification, every time you apply gain, you're amplifying the noise floor. So you want to have as few stages as possible, and that will reduce the hiss overall. A lot of the issues will be that someone has got the input one in the Windows control panel that I just showed you. Someone will have not checked that, and it will be at the default of 50%. So then what they've done is they've gone into OBS and stuck on 30 decibels of gain in OBS to get the volume up, and amplified all the noise floor to 1,000,000 decibels.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the thing, is you want to make sure that the Windows input volume is at full before you start applying gain stages. So that's two things. So yeah, take your microphone apart and make sure that they haven't spray painted the inside with gloss black paint, because as I say, it happens. And yeah, as I say, the other thing as well is just make sure that you've got your Windows input volume up as high as it will go before you gain elsewhere. Yeah. Keep your VU meter in the green. Yes, to an extent. I aim to just touch the red in OBS. So yeah, I mean, again, if I can't capture. It's really hard to capture the OBS window. However, yeah, in OBS, well, certainly in OBS, I aim to have my microphone just touching the red. And then I have a brick wall limiter set to about -3 decibels. So as soon as it's about to hit the end of it, where it will actually do a hard clip, it will chop that off just to prevent it from actually doing anything really terrible. So yeah, prefer hitting the yellow. Yeah. Yellow is fine. It's just, in my experience, just touching the red will give you significantly more volume without quite hitting distortion. But again, playing with fire.
It depends. I think it also depends on your microphone, where you're sending it, what you're doing, and so on.
That's true, yeah.
There is 1,000,000,001 variables.
Yeah.
And I think in general, if you're capturing with OBS to stream to something like YouTube or Twitch, just tapping on the red on your very loudest plosives is going to be okay, because a lot of it's going to get messed with anyway. If you're actually doing like pro recording and stuff, you don't want to be that hot.
Yeah, as Nutty Techie just said, pro audio industry, if you're in concerts and stuff like that, then absolutely I agree. You do want to be in the greens there, because at that point you've got lots of audio gear that you can use to make it as loud or as quiet as it needs to be. Whereas I'm speaking more from a streamer perspective, where a budget streamer perspective, where I'm using a really cheap, crappy microphone, where it's really difficult to get more gain out of it. And so, I'm working with a very low input. And when you go out to Twitch and stuff like that, it's very difficult to get the overall volume of the final output up. And the last thing you want to do is be that one streamer where you have to turn your volume up by 2 or 3 times to be able to hear their stream, which is really frustrating. So as Caradog said, it depends on what you're doing, lots of variables. And as we just saw there, I'm speaking as someone who's doing streams and recording in OBS. Whereas, if you're doing pro audio and concerts and stuff like that, completely different kettle of fish. And I wouldn't want to say how to do your job, because you would definitely know more about that than I do.
Yeah, I would really like the opportunity to actually just discuss over a pint or 6, like actual pro audio stuff with actual pro audio people, just because I've not had the opportunity yet to go through that stuff. And it's like it's all stuff that I'm like, I know about this stuff, but at the same time I know nothing about this stuff. It's that category where you're like, I know what these words are, I have no idea what they are or what they mean, kind of thing. It's that wonderful category of being aware of stuff but knowing nothing.
I have worked with people in the pro audio industry, and I'm sad that I don't hang out with those people anymore, just because we're, you know, as I say, the projects that I was working on have come to an end, and that was just because they came to a natural end, not just because pandemic. But yeah, the show industry is fantastic. I cannot wait for the pandemic to be over so I can go to not just to concerts, but also so I can just go to trade shows and expos and conventions again, just because that's the kind of stuff where you start seeing all of this stuff in action, and just the planning and organization of just events are exciting, and I love it.
It's the thing that amazes me is how bad so many people are at organizing events and setting up AV stuff. And it's like, I in no way tend to make out that I'm good at them. Yeah. I'm just not awful.
I think a lot of people as well, like based on my experience of having worked in, I don't want to say I worked in the event industry. I worked on fandom conventions. We were not, most of us were running those conventions were not professionals. We just figured it out. However, like for example, our media department there, we had students on our media team who knew how to connect all the gear up and knew how to set up the gear. However, because of their inexperience with life, they were very unorganized. Like for example, the convention I ran, I did 3 events with them before we shut down, just because it went quiet. And in the second event, we had a music concert as part of the event, and during that concert, for whatever reason, we lost the audio for the recording. We had the video, but the audio was lost. And then the next year, when we were organizing it again, during the meetings, when we were planning it all, I said to the media team, I was vice head there. I was the second in command. I said to the media team, I said, I want a computer, a laptop, whatever, with a condenser microphone or whatever microphone you think appropriate hooked up to it, at the back of the, like sitting I want it on the tech desk, just a recording device with a microphone on it that's not connected to anything else. That's literally just recording the room. Because last time we lost the audio because there was no backup. I want a microphone on the mixing desk recording the show. And they're like, no, that won't sound very good. I'm like, that sounds a lot better than nothing. Just do it. And so the show came and went. They lost the audio again. There was no microphone on the mixing desk. And I said, cool, we had the microphone on the mixing desk, right? And they're like, no. Why not? That was the last show I did with them, so it didn't matter. However, that was one of those things where in that moment, I was just like, you're not back next year. Next year, when you apply to be to be head of the media team again, I'll say, no, because you lost the audio twice. I don't care. Yeah, because it's just like, I didn't need to be technical. I didn't need to know how the gear worked. I didn't need to know how to set it up. I just had the life experience to know that just have a backup. Good grief, you know. And that's the thing. You know, and
that's astounding. I'd like to know what the actual kind of correct professional approved method of doing it is for kind of having that backup recording. Is it just having like a PCM recorder that just takes the sort of
I think the correct option that they should have done, which I think they said they were going to do, was rather than having a microphone there, was they would have a recording device that was just connected up to the line out from the mixing desk. Yeah. So because obviously the mixing desk obviously is live because you can hear the sound, so you know that's on. So they would have just another device, like just a pocket recorder, a voice recorder, whatever, that they would just literally just press the button on, and that would just be recording the master out from the mixing desk. And you know, obviously that would be a complete down mix on everything. You wouldn't have any of the stems, you wouldn't have any of the separates. That would just be whatever you got. However, we also knew we had people on our team who were professional music engineers. And I have, and having had conversations and seen the work of that musical engineer, I know that if we ended up with just a down mix of that, they would work pure magic with it. You can give them garbage and they will make it sound good, kind of thing, because they know what they're doing. So yeah. Take a feed from an aux which would have channels routed to it. Yeah, pretty much that. So
yeah.
But yes, that's the end of that story, I guess.
Well.
And to answer the how do you lose your audio, on the second one, they forgot to push record. That's the genuine reason. Whatever. You can tell that to this day, it was 5 years ago, and I'm still angry about it. But
it's shocking, though. How do you manage to?
Well, just in the heat of the moment. It was on the night. The lights are on. It's live time. It's the day. And these are all students who, for quite a few of them, this was their first time doing it for real. They've been in college, they've set up all the equipment a million times, but this was their first time doing it for real. And they had the live equipment in front of them doing a show with a real crowd and in a real concert hall and everything. True. So your common sense goes out the window because you're just in the heat of the moment. I'm guessing that's how it happened. So, as I say, it's not. I don't want to be too harsh on people because in the heat of the moment, stuff does go out the window. A lot of people are real brave on the internet and stuff when they're going sort of, that's dumb and stuff like that. But a lot of those people, and it's kind of like when you're doing any kind of show. Like, as I say, I was doing presenting at that show, and this is obviously a long time ago now, but even still, it was a mid-sized concert. The maximum size of the crowd was about 1,200 people. But even still, when I was doing that show, when it was go time and I had to step up onto that stage on my own to say, hello, welcome to the show, that's nerve-wracking. And there's probably people who have been like, oh, I've done much bigger shows than that. Or there are some people that be like, I wouldn't be nervous. It's like, however, when it's your first time, it's nervous. It's nervous. Yes, you have to dig deep.
Absolutely.
And at that show, carry on.
When it goes wrong and you have to go, I now need to find 5 minutes of time to fill.
And I had two of those experiences at that same show. There was one time where I was doing a bit with one of our special guests, and they were setting something up, and they were like, oh, hold on, this isn't ready, I need to set it up. And I'm just like, and I had to ad-lib with the audience for a couple of minutes, just make it up on the spot. And I was like, oh. And I managed to do it just because I already had some experience about waffling to the camera, because during this time I was already starting Adamant IT, so I knew how to waffle to a camera. But yeah. And again, at the same show, we had audience members on stage, volunteer audience members, and we did have one of them lock up on stage, like full on rabbit in the headlights stage fright. And he locked up for about 30 seconds and then kept going. And he did it. And afterwards, I was just like, well done, mate. You locked up, but you came back, kind of thing. It would have been really easy for him to have just been like, I have to get off the stage now, But yeah. Events are cool, man. If you ever have the opportunity to volunteer for an event, volunteer for an event. It's one of the coolest things you can do.
Yeah.
So... but yeah, so a couple of people have been asking what I was doing before Adamant IT, and I worked for my ex-boss MLJ. In joke, I've worked at local computer repair shops more or less since I finished college, to all intent and purpose. But yeah, I've been running my shop though for over 10 years. So yeah, I started the channel a couple of years into my shop. So yeah, long time ago now. I've been doing this for longer than anything else I've been doing in my life now, which is strange to me. So,
oh no, It's like that moment where you realize you've been out of school longer than you were in school. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that chapter is well and truly behind me then.
Yeah.
There's all those little life milestones that you end up having.
Was it 10 years? Feels longer than that. Yeah, probably longer than 10 years. I got the key to my shop at the end of 2000. I was organising the shop at the end of 2009, and I think I was in the shop in spring. I can't remember. I'm sure I've got pictures of the shop that I dated October 2009. However, I'm positive I wasn't actually in the shop until after Christmas. So I don't know if that was just because I was looking at the shop before Christmas, or I think I had the keys to the shop a couple of months before I actually opened. Because it was kind of weird when I opened the shop, because I'd gotten the lease and I had the property, and I remember the first day when I had the keys, and I walked up to the shop, took the key out of my pocket, walked into the shop on my own. I was like, all right, what do I do now? You know, thankfully I'd already been planning, and I knew I was going to have a counter and stuff. But yeah, it was weird.
I cannot imagine how hard that would be walking into that, given that obviously you'd come. Oh no, you hadn't come straight out of school into that. No.
I'd been running a computer shop already, but like I'd run a computer shop that belonged to someone else who set everything up. You know,
absolutely.
You know, the last chap, he had a vision. He'd done it in his vision. But yeah, the new shop is going to be the same thing all over again, because I've got to, you know, I mean, I'm the new shop. I'm aiming to, well, the moving in day is 1st of Feb. So.
Is that when you're getting the keys?
Supposed to be. I don't have the lease yet. So, yeah. But
I noticed a minor issue.
Yeah. That's a phone call that's going to be made on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Is going to be it's going to be a call to the landlord saying, yo, so how about that lease, eh? You know, we've agreed on the moving in date. We've got everything else. I'm ready to go. Where's my lease, bro? You know. So
No.
So yes, but again, that's going to be the same issue where I'm going to walk into that shop, and it's going to be 2 empty rooms. Each room is bigger than the entire building that I'm currently in, and there's 2 of them, and the back rooms kind of thing. And so I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to be like, how on earth do I fill this place up? But again, I'm
super excited for that.
It's going to build up. This is kind of the shame, because part of me, I don't want to show it off until it's done, but I'm fully expecting that to take 6 months, because I've got to actually operate the shop at the same time as building it, because work has got to go on. You know, I mean, the initial opening will be easy, because I'll dismantle my current desk. My current worktop is an L shape and can be dismantled into 2 equal length desks. So I'll have one of them at the front, and I'll have one of them as a workbench. So I'll be able to put something together that works. And what I'll probably do is I'll jump on eBay and buy a dozen trestle tables and just set up trestle tables everywhere. So there is just worktops, basically.
Wobble, wobble, wobble.
Yeah, pretty much that. And then over time, I'll start getting, as soon as the pandemic is over, I can get on the blower to a carpenter, get a carpenter in and just say, right, everywhere there is trestle tables, I want that to be countertop.
And I want it to actually be fitted.
Yes. So that's the plan.
But yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
There is going to be so much space in there compared with your current place.
I've done the floor. The patrons have already seen it, but the last post I did on Patreon, which was a while ago. I'm not posting super often there because nothing is happening yet. But the last post I did there was my intended layout for the new shop, where I've actually showed the floor plan of the new place and where I'm going to put everything, and basically what my vision for it is. But as I say, initially I will be doing a moving vlog and all the rest of it that will be exclusive content that all the patrons and all the supporters will see, because they made it happen. And And then, yeah, once we've got it all set up, which will probably be, you know, I don't know, a month or two down the line, then I'll do the video. I'll do the video where I show off the new shop. And I mean, spoilers, but I mean, there's 288 people here at the moment, which is obviously a fraction of the 100,000 nearly subscribers. So it's still, you know, and since you guys are cool enough to come to this show, then you get some insider information. The 100,000 subscriber special will be the new shop reveal. That's what I'm doing, because the last special I did was the 50,000 subscriber special, and that was the one where I said, I'm launching a Patreon, I'm doing this, I'm going to get a bigger shop, I'm going to do all of this. And for me, the perfect fitting celebration for 100,000 subscribers is to go, you know that thing I said I was going to do? I did it. Thank you very much, everyone. You guys made this happen. You know, I saw this coming. I said I was going to do it. I have done it. Here it is. Well, you know, so that's the plan. That's the intention.
And think you'll even have space for a good coffee machine.
I'm not going to buy one. I'll have space where I could put a good coffee machine. But yeah.
Oh no.
So yeah. Right. Get my YouTube play button. Probably. I hear the silver play buttons take forever. So I will apply for it, because I'm like, no, screw off. I got 100,000 subscribers. I'm applying for that silver play button. However, I know that it seems to be quite common to buy a broken one and fix it. Buy a broken silver play button. I know you meant coffee machine, but whatever. It seems that a lot of channels apply for their silver play button, and then like the button shows up when they're on like 300,000 or 400,000 subscribers, and they're like, oh yeah, remember when that happened? So, but whatever. I'm going to apply for it anyway.
I still think the funniest thing I saw, I can't remember where it was, but it was Linus talking about all of the channels he was launching and all of the new channels he was making, and he was saying, can I because they were starting up a new one, can I get a play button for this channel before it even uploads a video?
Yeah, I think that was that Short Circuit or something. It might have been something else. I can't
remember, but I just remember them talking about that, and I'm just like, and then there are other people who are like, I have to release videos and actually put work in. Gah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's not automatic, because obviously not every channel that gets 100,000 subs needs a play button, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yes, you're moving your business, because YouTube, basically. YouTube has the YouTube video. So my current shop is fine for the repairs I do. However, combined with all of the YouTube stuff I do, it's not enough space. And the YouTube channel has now grown to the point where it can pay for a bigger shop. And so that means now that I can move to a bigger shop. And it's a twofold thing, because the channel provides money for the shop to do stuff, and the shop provides content for the channel. So it's a relationship there. They go hand in hand. So yeah, it's gonna be rad. Absolutely. I'm very excited about it, and like I just looked at the calendar just so I could see how far away it is, and technically that moving day is a week away. Well, I say absolutely. Moving day. The day when I get the key is theoretically a week away, and it's
so
just
have you
like,
packed yet?
No, I haven't put anything in a box yet. I will. When it happens, it'll happen fast. But
it's not like there's that much stuff there. You know, just 2 transmissions, 8 wheels.
Yeah, I think my primary objective will just be, well, the first objective will be to get the shop operational, and by that I mean getting the internet to it, basically, because obviously what I need to do is I need to get the workbenches, the countertops down there, so I can start working in that shop. However, I can't work in that shop without internet, so that means I've got to get the internet down there first. And I want to keep my phone number for obvious reasons, so I need to get on the blower to BT and ask them, should I buy like, should I take out another deal, or are we going to transfer the current one? How does that work, and so on. So I've got to organize that, which could take a couple of weeks. So I might have the keys to the shop a couple of weeks before I actually do anything with it. But during that time, I'll start just moving all of the stuff down there from the back room. And once I've got all of the stuff into that shop, I'll have space to sort it all out as well.
Oh, absolutely. It will be good to find. It will be good when it all kind of gets there and starts happening.
Yeah. And do you think I'll ever hire an employee? I'm seriously considering a apprentice for maybe later on this year, probably next year though, because I don't want to deal with the paperwork this year. I think realistically, I'm probably going to wait until next year, and then I will I'll be sort of having a look around, but we'll see. However, there will be additional bods in the shop. So yeah. Do you need me to yeet you the 4G router you never stop paying for? Nah, 4G won't be enough. Well, actually, I only need download. I mean, most of the time, most of the internet usage in my shop is just downloading Windows updates. So, yeah.
I mean, that could be an interesting thing to do, is creating some sort of caching server.
Maybe. It's not that bad. I don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it would be interesting from a because I can perspective.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant in the sense of because I can. Oh, that's depressing. Sorry, I'm just looking at BT Business, and BT Business only goes up to 314 megabits per second download.
Oh, what a peasant tier speed!
Well,
imagine only having 300 meg internet.
I know, but it's more the fact they only go up to 300. But if you're domestic in the same place, they'll do gigabit.
Yeah.
That's the bit that I'm going, this makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to hit up the chat for some stuff. For people who are saying sort of, oh, could I apply and stuff like that? I wouldn't be thinking about it at the moment. And also, don't quit your day job. If my channel makes me look fancy, then that's all a facade, basically. Swallow first, then laugh, Caradog. But yes, as I say, it's not that fancy. But we'll see. Do I have a fancy headset? No, I'm just at home. This is just the headset that I use at home. This is a Corsair Void Wireless, which is my favorite headset I've ever owned. This is the one that I replaced the battery in years ago. Still going strong, although I think the USB port on it is dying because last night it was really playing silly beggars with me. So I think there might be a video coming up in the future about me replacing the USB port on this thing.
Retrofitting a USB-C port.
I kind of want to put a USB-C port on it because I can, yeah. I need to take it apart again and see how much space there is, because a USB-C port will take up more space than a micro B. So
nothing that a Dremel couldn't fix.
No, and also the charger port is actually on its own separate circuit board. There's a tiny little square circuit board that the board sits on. So this thing is probably perfect for a Type-C retrofit. So I would like to do that, but I don't know if I will or not yet. It would be cool, though.
And sticking like a 77 watt-hour battery in the headband.
No.
My battery will last me 6 months.
Yeah, the battery is fine. The battery is genuinely all day. The only time I get a low battery beep is if I've been like on a Sunday where I typically am sitting on my computer all day long, typically with the headset on all day long. It's only on like a Sunday where the headset has been on for like 10 hours where it'll start giving me the low battery beep. And at that point, it's just like, oh yeah, come on. And even then, like, it's just, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I just plug in the cable and I have a cable to my headphones like some kind of peasant for half an hour, and that'll take me for another 4 hours until the night, and then they get recharged overnight. So it's fine.
Yeah.
But yes. Use a corded headset and never worry about batteries. Yeah, I really like wireless peripherals. And also, my flat is tiny and my kitchen is about, is about 4 meters in that direction over there.
Whoa.
So yeah, well, 3 or 4. So as a result, having a wireless headset is great because I can just stand up and go and make coffee while still wearing my headphones. So, yeah. Have you ever considered doing any Tronics Fix style videos? What does Tronics Fix do? I'm not familiar with them. Let me see. If you want to build a cheap computer, get an old Intel board X58, X48. Yeah, I don't like old stuff at all, to be honest. I mean, I guess if you're on a real shoestring budget, buying old stuff is the way forward. But to be honest, if I was on a shoestring budget, I would be looking to buy an old Dell Optiplex or something like that. Because you get Dell Optiplexes like ex-business stuff. They all seem to go for silly cheap money. And you might have to do a little bit of dremeling with them to fit in big graphics cards and stuff like that. But that's probably the way forward for a lot of horsepower for not a lot of money, I think. Console repair, not... Oh, he does console repair. That's kind of interesting. I'm still dabbling with console repair. I've got... yeah, I'm having a look into that, basically. So, yeah. Let's see. Can't claim that back from used on eBay. Yeah, that's true. Plex server build video. I'm not into Plex at all.
Good God.
Personally.
The prices on some of these Dell Optiplexes. £456 for a 3rd generation i7.
Nah, you're all right.
No. Just no.
I think prices on everything are high at the moment because everyone's buying, because everyone suddenly needs computers at home. There's lots of people who...
Oh, there we go. That's better.
There are a lot of people who genuinely just didn't have or didn't use a laptop at home, just did everything on their phone. That's actually quite commonplace. But now they're being required to work at home. They're just like, oh, I actually need a computer or a laptop or something like that. So, yeah.
£230 for a 3rd Gen i5 with an SSD and 8 gigs of RAM. That's a much better price.
Yeah. Do I have
That's roughly what I'd be looking at is, 200, 220-ish for something like that.
That's not bad, yeah. Do I have a backup plan in case of new lockdown rules? For example, customers can't come to the shop anymore. Well, I count as a critical business because I'm IT infrastructure. Based on my interpretation of the rules, I might add. However, if Plod shows up at my door and goes, "You allowed to be open," I will say to him, well, if you want me to call up 40 people who really need their computers to work from home, including teachers, then by all means, I will call them up and tell them I can't fix their computers. Would you like me to do that? And I would imagine he'll go, all right then, and walk off again. So that's my backup plan. So... let's see. Have you ever looked at any Trust peripherals? I'm not a fan of Trust, personally. I haven't looked at any of their gamer stuff to see if it's any good. It might be slightly high spec, but based on everything else that Trust makes, I would expect it to be bottom of the barrel, to be brutally honest.
Trust make gamery peripherals?
Of course they do. It'll be under some other brand, like...
Oh no,
it'll have...
they legitimately make a lightweight RGB illuminated gaming mouse with honeycomb shell.
There you go. Right, before we go any further with this conversation, I want to take a guess that they have some kind of sub-brand name for this that has an X or a Z in the name.
Oh, no. No, it's sold under the Trust Gaming brand.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, then.
But the product number is a GXT960.
There you go. There it is. There's an X in the product name. That's close enough.
And it's a Graphene ultra lightweight gaming mouse.
Okay. Send this to me in Discord so I can have a look. Because now, we're standing here mocking it. However... Let's have a look. Let's pay it its dues.
It's certainly something.
Okay.
I'm just like, Trust products have never looked terrible. They've just been terrible.
Honestly, that looks like a that looks like a Cooler Master knockoff. Where's OBS? Desktop. Yeah. that looks all right. I mean, the problem is that £35, that's a no from me. I would pay £20 for it. See, the thing is, they say it's lightweight, and that's not deliberately. We're not talking lightweight like a Lotus here, where they've managed to reduce the weight of it to make it go faster. It's lightweight because it's cheap plastic. That's the problem here. But like on design alone, I'm just like, that looks all right. I don't know if I'm into the whole honeycomb meta. I haven't tried one yet because Cooler Master are all about honeycomb. However, for me, I just look at the honeycomb stuff and go, that's going to be really horrible to clean because all the sweat and grime from your hand is going to go into that honeycomb, and it's going to be really hard to wipe it down. Does your mouse not get grimy? You're looking at me weird.
No, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at another Trust product.
Oh, okay. Honeycomb
they have
gets
a
dusty.
vertical mouse where the primary left and right clicks are split into 2 buttons each. So you have 4 in the primary click position.
Ooh.
And I was just looking at it like, am I seeing that right? Yeah, I am. It was like,
all right, link me up. Let's show the people.
Yeah. And it's got like an OLED screen in the top of it and stuff. And it's like,
don't get me wrong, tiny little screens are cool. I said that in a video recently. However, who looks at their mouse?
It gives you like the battery status and I think something like a song playing.
See, the problem is like I don't need an OLED screen to tell me the battery status. I just need an LED that comes on red when the battery is low. Can we get a bigger picture? Here we go. This is not centered on the screen very well, but where's the button? There we go. There's the buttons. Oh yeah. So I don't know. It looks premium to me, but I bet it feels cheap IRL because just because it looks nice in the 3D renders doesn't mean that it actually feels good by the hand. And yeah, it's just I don't know. I think the design looks interesting, but it's not for me personally. But then also, like, I don't know if I'm interested in vertical mice. I mean, I've never tried one, but I'm always skeptical about about ergo products in general.
I have the Logitech one, and I'm like, it's fine, but it feels cheap. It's a Logitech product that feels cheap, and I'm like, oh, if even Logitech can't make one that feels nice, or aren't willing to make one that feels nice for the price that Logitech sell their mice at, no one's going to make a nice feeling one, in my opinion.
That's true. Logitech are the king of premium feel on low-cost products. They do a lot of really low-cost products that are feature poor but still feel nice. It's one of the reasons why when customers say to me, what mouse should I get? I say, buy Logitech. Because I know that whatever Logitech mouse they buy, it's not going to be awful. You know, whatever they end up coming back saying, oh, I bought this one, as long as it's got a Logitech logo on it, it won't be terrible. It might not be the best that they could have got, but it won't be terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Oh, Kimbo, Trust graphics tablet. Yeah, Trust were on that bandwagon, weren't they? Yeah.
I imagine it will have about 0 levels of pressure sensitivity and will have a, pad resolution of no.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yes.
What else is going on in the chat? I think any questions have rolled off now because we started talking about that. Oh, here's one. I'm going to pick out one at random here. Question: this is PCI Express power cables and stuff like that. Do the 6+2 PCIe and 4+4 CPU 8-pin ports on the RM850X work for both CPU power and PCIe power? There's specific places to plug in. Right. So on modular PSU. Corsair modular power supply and RMX series. So on the back, you've got all your outputs. And the question is, do I have to plug the PCI Express one and the CPU 8-pin into specific places on the back of the power supply? The answer to that is It depends. It varies depending on the power supply. All modular power supplies, on the back of it, it will be labeled what goes where. So on the back of your modular power supply, it'll say ATX, PCIe, SATA, and so on. So it'll tell you where to plug stuff in. Now, I believe on Corsair power supplies, the PCIe 6+2s and the EPS, so the CPU 8 pins, can both go into the same connector because they're all 12 volts and 0 volts, and all of the pinning is handled at the other end of the cable, not the power supply end of the cable. So I believe that there are outputs on the back of a Corsair power supply that are labeled PCI Express /CPU, indicating that you can plug either of them in there. So it will be labeled. However, they are interchangeable. The PCIe, the 6+2 and the 4+4 and the 4+4 cables are not the same. They are all 12s and 0s. However, the CPU is 12s along the top, 0s along the bottom, whereas the PCI Express is 12, 12, 12, and then it's got 3 zeros and another 2 zeros on the +2. The +2 pins are all just ground. I don't know why. They just are. They're just extra grounds, which I find very strange. But
yeah, absolutely.
I assume the people
I sent you a picture of the back of it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I assume that the people who designed them know more about this than I do. So I guess they know what they were talking about. I'll show this as well.
And
yeah, I need to fix this left screen thing. Transform our set. Stop being stretched. We've got fit to screen. There we go. Fit to screen. Yeah. So it's upside down, but yeah, there we go. So on the Corsair one, 6+2 PCIe and 4+4 CPU. It says there. So yeah, that there's your confirmation. So you can put in your PCI Express or your CPU power cables there, and these will just be 12s along the top and 0s along the bottom, is my guess. But yeah, as I say, the pinning of the cable will sort all of that out. So it's not something you need to worry about, is the short answer. The thing will sort it out for you. So absolutely. That's that. We lost Caradog. Caradog is silent. Is he?
Did you mute me? Have I been silenced? Have I been deplatformed?
Oh no! Heck! God damn it! I have just realised that when I switch to the full screen capture, that's on a different scene. It's cutting off your audio. Damn it! So if you've been we're moving on. It's only yep. Sorry. So yeah, the look. I'm sorry, Caradog. Don't give me that look. I'm sorry. Okay. I will fix this another time. This is the first time that I've actually used desktop capturing when doing this podcast for a while, because I've been trying to avoid. I haven't been doing it because at some point when this is audio only, I don't want to be showing things on screen that the audio only people won't be able to see. So I try not to do that. And so I wasn't very well set up, and I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Press record. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Now I am the one who did it. Oh well. Should have had a laptop with a condenser mic set up. Look. Listen. Okay?
Hoisted by your own petard.
I'm going to find another thing in the chat to talk about very quickly so we can move on from this terribly awkward moment. So,
absolutely. Why do fully modular power supplies exist? Seriously, why do they exist? Anyone?
For people who can also afford to buy cable mod kits.
Yeah, okay.
There.
Maybe.
Got him.
Maybe. Yeah. I want to buy the Seasonic Sensio.
That's a coffee machine.
Synchro. The synchro, the one where it's a power supply that's 12 volt only, going into its own custom breakout box, and it's a custom case for the breakout box, and it's inverted ATX.
I don't know how I feel about that power supply. Why do you want it? Because I look at that power supply.
Because it's inverted ATX, partially. I want the case because it's inverted ATX, which means the window is on the right-hand side of the case, which means it works for my
I see.
setup and stuff as well. And also, I like it because it makes cable wiring much simpler. Because obviously you've got much shorter cable runs, and they're all pre-positioned.
I see. That's the entire. I thought that was just the power supply that came with the stupid breakout box thing. Is that a case and power supply? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it's all kind of pre-keyed.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I quite like that. The only thing is it doesn't have like the 95 USB ports that a Note 11 Dynamic XL does. And I'm like, ooh, 95 USB ports.
Have you considered having USB ports on the back of your computer?
Yes, but no.
Yeah.
I need more.
If you need more than 2 USB ports on the front of your computer, then you can just plug things in the back. That's my sentiment.
Maybe. No comment. In other news, 10-foot USB cables.
Yeah. Fair enough. It would be nice to get more cases that can work any way up. It would be cool to have more case designs where just the panels pop off and you can turn them over. So you could just turn the entire case over and run it in any way up.
I guess you could do that with the Q500L.
Yeah, you can do it with the Cooler Master. Just about. I mean, you still have the bottom of the case is still slightly different to the top, but you could bodge it essentially. So
that'd be interesting.
Oh, my Streamlight just died, so now I don't have my backlight anymore. I didn't plug it in.
Plunge into darkness.
Yeah. I wonder what had happened then. For a minute, I was like, has the power just died? No, it's fine. I'm going to plug that in because now it makes my face look really bright while the surrounding is really dark. Let's see. I'm going to jump back to another one. Thomas Aslakson. If you use AMD SAM and do a memory benchmark, will it give you a higher score when it's activated? Do you know what AMD SAM is, Caradog?
Smart Access Memory. AMD's rebranding of resizable bar.
Yeah, do you know an answer to that one? Because that looks like an interesting question, but I don't have an answer for it.
What was the question? If you're doing a test of what?
If you use AMD SAM and you do a memory benchmark, will it give you a higher score to have SAM turned on?
What, as in something like Ada 64?
Yeah.
I'm presuming.
Yeah, so essentially it's just, is it going to improve it?
Do, based off of a way round that the smart accessing of the memory is occurring, and also the fact of obviously if you're doing that, you'll be limited by the PCI bus, and the PCI bus will be higher latency than the DRAM bus will be. And also I imagine the bandwidth would be significantly lower, because isn't PCI Express Gen 4 16 times? Actually, I can't remember how much bandwidth that can chuck through, but obviously for like DDR4 4400, you're talking about hundreds of gigabytes a second. Whereas where PCIe 4 is in the tens of gigabits a second, isn't it? So if it did anything, I'd expect it to be slower.
Sounds like one of those things where it's more about very specific use cases than actual memory performance.
Just give me numbers. 8 gigabytes a second total for PCI Express 4. According to Wikipedia, that seems very low. I have no idea. I'm sure someone can actually correct that.
Yeah, I mean, although Yeah, I mean, I've just quickly Googled it to learn more about smart access.
No, sorry, 63 gigabytes a second. There we go. They were giving the wrong links. 63 gigabytes a second for 16x.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, looking at the AMD website, this seems to be more of a. This seems to be more aimed for when running games. So I don't know if you'd see it in I don't know if you'd see it in benchmarks like Geekbench, but even still, the improvements are limited. I mean, like AMD's own numbers on their website are showing 5 to 12% improvement. And yeah, so it's a case of it is slightly faster, but even AMD's own numbers say it's only slightly faster, and we can assume that those are very, very flattered numbers, very ideal situations. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you might see a difference in a benchmark, but I wouldn't be using that. If you're number chasing, I would not be very concerned about that. I would be looking elsewhere to find performance.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's it's as far as I'm aware, it allows the GPU to fill the memory faster because it can fill in bigger chunks effectively.
Yeah.
The GPU memory is filled faster because it's in bigger chunks, is effectively what I'm understanding. But I don't actually know specifically which way round we're sort of talking about for the accessing. I just know it allows things to access the full amount of the GPU RAM. The GPU RAM? Yes.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. I'm going to move on a little bit just because, again, we're I don't think either of us are super knowledgeable on that particular question. I jumped into that because I thought it was an interesting one, but I think both of us are a bit out the loop on that.
I certainly wouldn't expect it to have any effect whatsoever on DRAM performance because it's not designed to do that, and it's not interfacing with the DRAM in the first place. You could perhaps, maybe, with some sufficient bodgery, make it so you had some sort of interface into the video RAM as your system memory or something, I guess, maybe, but I don't know what difference it would make. I can't see how it would be faster by the fact of obviously it's not designed to be accessed in that fashion.
Yeah, that seems like a gimmick thing. Kind of like how just share having the graphics card share system RAM is it's a case of you can do it, but it's basically a matter of this is terrible, but it's slightly better than having no VRAM at all, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it ain't ideal. So yeah. Right. So moving on to a couple of other questions. A couple of people are saying, I think it was Firephone asked what hot air station I was using. Since I've got it in front of me, I'll answer that question. So yeah, I've bought I bought a quick 857 DW Plus, and it was £80, not $80. I did make a mistake there. However, where's my display? I'm going to add in the correct display capture here.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm now going to cut you off.
No, I have a plan for that. So, hang on a minute. Let me just fix this again now because I'm adding bits into this while I'm live, which is a terrible idea. So, yeah, this is Monday's video, which I'm working on at the moment. And yeah, I bought a quick 857 DW Plus, yeah, it's I haven't used it for anything real yet. I haven't done any real repairs with it. However, I've done a test to make this video where I pitted it against my WEP station, which is the one I've been using, and it completely annihilated the WEP. It absolutely annihilated the WEP in a one-on-one thing. So I did a comparison where I used the WEP station to reflow some BGA chips, and then I used the quick on the same BGA chips somewhere there, And yeah, the Quick was a different world. It was an absolutely different world. So yeah, that video is coming out on either Monday or Tuesday, whenever I feel like it. Yeah, as I say, it's an overview. I don't like to say I do reviews because I feel like the word review comes with the assumption that you've done sort of strict and formulaic testing, whereas all I did was basically just show it off and go, here's what it does, here's me warming up some chips with it, here's me warming up the same chips with a different one, observe how this one did a better job. So yeah, and yeah, it's good is all I'm going to say about that. So yes. Let's see. Then oh yeah, how's the mouse wiggler? The mouse jigglers are excellent. I've been still enjoying those this week. So the mouse jigglers are great. I'm into it. There will be a video about those at some point. I'm going to make a video about them because the DIY one that that Detlef sent me, that one I want to learn how to make those myself and make a video demonstrating how to make it. If he will allow me to distribute his source code, which he may or may not do, but I need to contact him and talk about that. And I'd like to make that available so I can make a video that says how to make your own mouse jiggler, because I think they're brilliant and I highly recommend it for anyone who does computer repairs. Let's see. Computer builds. Computer builds soon. I'm doing a big build with a 5950X, probably late this week. So expect the video for that in the next 2 weeks or so, I would assume.
Maybe. You never know.
Yeah. So yes, it just depends on how things go. I've got quite a lot of videos in the pipeline at the moment, and it's just getting them edited and figuring out the release order for them. Because I do try and pay attention to release order. I do try and alternate between PC and modding and repairs. So I'm not oversaturating either. I try to do one and then the other when possible. So have I given away the oscilloscope yet? I'm probably not going to give it away, to be honest, just because it's not very good. Well, I mean, I could give it away anyway and just be under the proviso of this isn't actually very good. But hey, if you want it so you can say, I've got the one that Adamant IT built, then sure. So there might be something.
It will only cost you everything.
Yeah. I might do that. TS80, I've got no plans to buy a TS80. However, I have got a Pine Sill, which is the Pine Technologies pencil soldering iron, which is very similar. It's a cross between the TS80 and the TS100. It's a small electronic soldering iron. However, it's got a barrel jack connector on it and Type-C. So you can use power delivery or just a bench power supply with it, or LiPo batteries. So it gives the best of both worlds. Gives the best of both worlds with the TS80 and TS100. That is on order. It's shipping from China. It only shipped this week, so I'm not expecting to see that for another month, probably.
6 months.
Yeah. So who knows?
Have you looked into the other stuff? Because you said you were looking at a phone with a thermal camera in it.
Oh, yeah. I was going to pick up an old cat phone with a thermal camera or something. Haven't been looking at that at the moment. Not really high priority. I will probably be buying lots of equipment when I get into the new shop because I'll have somewhere to put it. But I'm trying not to buy too much stuff at the moment because, I mean, you know how full the shop is. You know, it's just every time I buy something new, I'm just like, awesome. Where the hell do I put it? You know? So I'm trying not to buy stuff, but as soon as we're in that new shop, I will have shelves of space and I can just start buying stuff left, right, and center. So that will be awesome. Russell Turner bought a mouse jiggler on my recommendation. It worked great. Awesome. Nice. Did the new screen of my TS100 still work? Of course it does. I used it yesterday. It was brilliant. Yep, it's working just fine.
I was looking at tips for the TS100, and I was shocked at the massive difference in price you can get for the same tip, just from different places. Because it's like Amazon was like £7.99 a tip, AliExpress was like £10 for 15 tips.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
The one thing I would say is if you're buying tips for a TS100, make sure you buy the specific Miniware ones rather than the generic brand ones, because I bought some generic ones thinking that they would be all the same, and they're not as nice as the Miniware ones, not by a long shot. Yeah, I got burnt there. Well, I got burnt out of about £6, so who cares? One of the great things about buying stuff from AliExpress is everything is dirt cheap, so who cares if it's not very good? But yeah, you got to watch out for that. And also AliExpress. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, I keep getting emails from AliExpress in Bangor going, "Your VIP points are expiring soon. Buy stuff." And I'm like, okay, but what do your points even do?
Yeah, it's just loyalty points. You can. I seem to remember they're worth like a penny each or something like that. I have a suspicion it works out. So yeah, because again, every time I go to Banggood, it's just like, oh, you've got VIP points. You've got 400 of them, and I'm like, awesome. I've got £4. I'll buy a widget or something. I don't know. So I mean,
if those VIP points meant I got, same month delivery.
Yeah.
If they meant that instead of it being 48 to 68 day delivery estimate, it dropped it to 28 days.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, all right, I'll get that.
So what is the mouse jiggler? Is there a video? Not yet. I'm not going to go into huge detail on it because I spoke about it at length in the last week. But mouse jiggler, it's a tiny little widget that you plug into the side of the computer, and all it does is move the mouse by a pixel every 30 seconds, so it stops the computer from going to sleep, which, as anyone who is doing repairs on will know, is a pain in the backside. Stopping a computer from going to sleep is very, very handy. So is the OLED watch still working? No, that died after about 2 weeks. But that was super awful. It was really fun to build that kit, but as a watch, it was awful.
Rough.
Yeah. But again, it was just like, these are cheap kits, so who cares? Let's see. 25 USB.
Completely unrelated to anything. I was looking at new smartwatches, and I was amazed at how they seem to have stayed at basically the same price. Like the full fat Android Watch OS, it got rebranded ones, and it's just kind of like, yeah, that's not bad. They've stayed at kind of the same price, and I'm just like, they're now going up to 3 days battery, and I'm like, finally, we're over a day battery in the advertising material, so it means that actually maybe it might last, the 2 days.
It's one of the reasons why I still only care about fitness bands, which is why I have a fitness band. I have a Huawei on a whatever, the Huawei fitness band, and it's rad because it tells me the time. I can read notification messages on it, so if I get a Discord ping, I can tap my watch and just read the message. So it shows me just enough information for me to know whether it's worth getting my phone or not. And and also I have media controls on it, so I can if I'm when I'm playing music from my phone, I can skip next song, previous song, play, pause, etc. from my watch. And because it's a fitness band, the battery lasts a week on it. So I've only got to charge it every week, and it takes about half an hour to charge.
I think the only thing that is particularly additional on this is the fact that the watch itself can play the music and can connect to your headphones and stuff like that. And can do the phone calls and things like that. So obviously it's a case of, if you were going away from, if you were someone who was a runner or something like that, you could easily go out with no phone and stuff and still have music and things like that. Yeah. So it's kind of cool from that point of view.
Yeah. See,
but
personally,
it's nothing particularly special or fancy. Yeah. But it's just the fact that I quite like it as other stuff, and the fact that it can do its own Google Maps navigation, and it can do its own Google Voice searches and things like that, so it can do that itself.
See, that's a neat party trick, but I also think that that's a complete waste and is adding a huge amount of expense. This was one of the original problems I had with Google Glass, which I know is a can of worms in its own right, but one of my issues with most wearables is that they are trying to be full standalone devices. I'm like, we already carry a literal computer in our pocket. Why are you trying to get the wearable device to do all of the work when you have a literal computer in your pocket that can do all of that for you? That's the thing. And again, this is why I don't like smartwatches that are like, oh, it's got our fastest processor in it ever and stuff like that. I'm like, why is the device doing the processing? I have a literal computer in my pocket for that. The device should be just an extension. It's just an interface, an extension of the interface for your phone. And yeah, I mean, the example you gave there about, you could go out on a run and leave your phone behind and still play music off your watch. Examples like that, yeah, okay, I can start seeing some of the benefits there. But on the other hand, I'm just like, if I'm going out for a run, it's just like, oh no, I have to carry my phone in my pocket. Come on, that's not a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. I was just saying it's a case of it's stuff like that, and that's what they sell it on. And it's clever that it can do that. I think, but it's a case that, as far as I'm concerned, there's no particular benefit. The other thing that's quite useful is the fact that you can add Android Pay, and you can pay with it using all of the stuff in Google Pay.
Yes, I have to admit that's one thing
useful.
That's one thing that my fitness band can't do. But on the other hand, again, I feel like that's having what is effectively a Bluetooth attached NFC transmitter in your smartwatch. So you still need your phone, but your watch can do payment. Surely that's doable. But on the other hand, I suppose processing a payment over Bluetooth is probably a security minefield. So
absolutely,
that's a bit sketchy, I suppose. Yeah,
and it's kind of
I
don't know. There seems to be a weird bit of kind of concern about payment security that seems to be disproportionate to other forms of security that people want.
True. Yeah. That's probably a very long conversation in its own right.
Absolutely. Can of worms.
Yeah. But yes, I do agree about that. A lot of people do start talking about payment security while forgetting about something that like most of the time we're carrying NFC cards in our pockets, which could easily be scraped with just anyone passing by us on the tube anyway, which is a much bigger concern than handling it at the checkout. So, yeah. But again, can of worms, I guess. Let's see. What was the oldest PC you've repaired in the last year? Athlon XP? Older. Not willingly, but I had a chap come in with I think it was an AMD K6. So we're talking, what was the K6 an equivalent of? Pentium 1? Pentium 2?
Probably.
AMD K6.
It's too old for me.
Circa 97, 98. Clock rate 166 to 300 megahertz. So yeah, AMD K6 MMX enhanced processor.
MMX.
Yeah, I had one of those in for repair, and obviously when the guy brought it in, I was just like, nope, go away, nope, go away, get out my shop. However, he was like, this computer was running a printing press for a newspaper printing press, because lots of industrial machinery, whether it's farming like agriculture or just industrial machinery, runs on hilariously old computers, which are, and they don't get replaced because, replacing a system that controls an industrial computer is all custom hardware. The interface is all custom. You can't just plug that into a USB port, So obviously replacing the computer is easier said than done. So Oh no, Spud Nugget. So yeah. So he comes in with this, and I'm like, no, go away,
Oh,
kind of
no.
thing. And he was just like, and I say, you need to replace this, dude. This is a mission critical computer, and you're running it on this mission critical system that you need for your printing press to function, and you got a CPU in there that is older than my granddad or whatever, So, however, he said, I know, I'm aware of that. However, it has to work. And I looked into it, and at the end of it, the only thing that was actually wrong with it was that the power supply was kill. The PSU was dead, and I was like, all we got to do is plug in a new power supply, and it'll run. So I said, I will fix this. However, it will cost you the price of the power supply plus my £50 flat fee, and there is no warranty. If this falls over tomorrow, there's no warranty. I will charge you again because I ain't warrantying this computer, And he was just like, yeah, fine, whatever, I'll pay. It has to work. I need this to work. So yes, I made a pretty penny putting a new power supply in an AMD K6. So
I hope you had good 5-volt rails.
Yeah, well, yeah, it wasn't an 8. It did have an ATX power supply in it, so maybe it was a bit newer than a K6. Don't know. I think it had a K6. It was socket 7, but it had an ATX 20-pin connector in it. So all I had to do was plug in a modern power supply with the +4 twisted out of the way. So yeah, and I used a cheap as balls power supply because, again, this was at the time where power supplies were unobtainium as well. So we just stuck in a cheap ass power supply, and cheap ass power supplies tend to have very overspec'd 5-volt rails, ironically. So yeah. So it was fine. But yeah, if it had been AT, I probably would have said no. I literally can't. I don't know where to go to get an AT power supply. So
I guess the only thing I can think of is like eBay.
Yeah, maybe, but like I don't.
Even then,
well, I guess if you're not providing a warranty on it anyway, what do you care how sketchy the second-hand parts you're fitting are? So as long as you're upfront with the customer, which I was, because that's the thing, is it's okay to do sketchy stuff if you're upfront with the customer, saying, look, this is really sketchy, and this is not what I recommend, but this is your only option, or you can go and find someone else and see if they can do better. But if you take it to any other computer shop, they're going to have to make the same decision that I'm having to make here, So, I work with industrial equipment, some of which uses that era hardware. When the equipment it connects to is £500,000, you keep the PC running no matter what. Yeah, there you go. Stephen Honeyman, you know what's up there. I would hate to have to be dealing with the upkeep on that kind of thing. So yeah, because that's the thing, is like you say, when it's running a bit of equipment that's £500,000, what do you do?
Good Lord.
Yeah, and the problem is as well is a lot of people who own the equipment, we're in Dorset, we're in North Dorset, so it's semi-rural, and so there's lots of farmers around here, and I do get farmers come in saying, this is the computer that runs my milking machine, and the guy's a farmer. He doesn't know how the computer works. And he doesn't know how his milking machine works. He knows how to operate the milking machine. He knows how to take care of his cows, but he doesn't know how the computer connects to his milking machine. So when you say, look, dude, we've got to replace this, he's like, I don't know how to do that. What should I buy? And I'm like, I don't know what you control a milking machine with. So it's just like, how do you answer that? So it's tricky.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really hate customers like that. Not because I dislike them personally, but because, again, it's a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
So, right.
But yeah, apparently the 24-pin was introduced to the ATX 12-volt 1.0 specification in February 2000.
February 2000. Yeah. Yeah, when did I start using a 24-pin?
So we've been using 24 pins for 20 years, and you can still get the +4s.
Did I have... Let me see. When did I build my Opteron system? What did my Opteron system replace? That can't have replaced my Pentium 3. No, it replaced my Athlon XP. My Athlon XP was 20 pin. And that was 2005 era. I think it took a couple of years before we were actually using it on motherboards. But then that's the way these specifications go. They get ratified, but it's a good couple of years before they get adopted.
Yeah. But it's just like, oh wow. Okay. It's been a thing since 2000. So the fact that we've still got power supplies which are 20 plus 4 just seems a little daft.
I have to admit, it is really dumb that most power supplies have the splittable 4-pin. I am amazed that they bother having the split connector, because of course, it's another part to make. Although that much being said, the most expensive bit about making stuff is the tooling, and if all of the factories are tooled up to make a 20 plus 4 connector, as far as they're concerned, they're like, well, the cost of retooling to make 24-pin connectors rather than 20 plus 4-pin connectors is vastly in excess for the cost of making the connector that we already are tooled up to make. So I guess that's why they keep making 20 plus 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'd be good. I feel in a way it would be good for us to have a higher power connector again now for all of the PCI Express devices, just by the fact that technically each PCIe slot is supposed to be able to supply 75 watts.
Yeah.
Yet the 24-pin connector, as far as I'm aware, can only supply a total of 75 watts to the PCI Express slots.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of
it's not a problem.
Those numbers don't work.
Yeah. It's one of those things where on paper that seems like a very real issue, but in practice I've never seen or heard of it. But you do look at that and you're just like, that's a problem where I'm surprised no one's talking about that. But I think that's just because...
I'm surprised that it's an issue considering how horrifically over-spec'd the 8-pin connector is for like GPUs.
Yes, that's like true, yeah. I think it would also be nice
it's just surprising.
The vast majority of add-in cards generally just use external power. And I think that the vast majority of add-in cards, like... I'm talking like add-in USB cards and all the examples just went out of my head. Add-in USB cards, possibly sound cards, stuff like that. They use a SATA or a Molex power connector for their external power. And I'm assuming that they do that because they don't want to try and pull 75 watts out of the motherboard. And it's just like... Man, if we could update that and get rid of all of those external connectors for those cards, that'd be awesome. Because I tell you what,
make it like 300 watts per slot, like the Apple power delivery was.
Yeah,
in the
sure.
GMX, not the GMX, the Mac Pros, the silver Mac Pros.
Yeah, because I really hate power connectors on add-in cards, and it does seem like something that we shouldn't need to deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah. And yeah, the new 12 volt, the new 12 VO power supplies. That's not going to hit the custom build scene for a very long time. However, and I don't know, the 24-pin connector is excessively overcomplicated by modern standards. So it would be nice to see something. I guess 12 VO may be the answer there. However, my understanding is that ATX motherboards are already very crowded places, and doing DC-DC conversion on the ATX motherboard isn't something that people want to deal with. It's bad enough having to do CPU vCore on the motherboard. So that may be a double-edged sword because that's going to make motherboards more expensive. So that'll be interesting. So yeah. And just a quick one as well. Firephone just said, your customers still have Core 2 Duo or older on Windows 10. When people show up with stuff that old, I turn them away. If people come in with something that is pre-Windows 7 era, then I will not work on it. The only exception to that rule is when it's something mission critical and they have a genuine excuse for it. Otherwise, if you come in with something that is basically older than 2010, then I will say, no, I will not fix this. Data recovery only. And I will say to them, it can be fixed, but I do not want to fix it because it is poor value for money, and I don't want to offer you a poor value for money solution. And in addition to that, if I fix this, that means I have to provide my warranty on it, And I don't want to warranty a computer that could literally fall over and die at any moment because it's 10 years old. And I also don't want to charge you money to make a computer work that will still be a slow computer, because I know for a fact that this time in 6 months, you will be looking at this going, oh, I paid that one chap £50 to £100 to fix this computer and it's still slow, as if that's my fault that your 10-year-old computer is slow.
Yeah, and, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and so at this point, I'm just like, nope, I'm having nothing to do with that. If it's 10 years old, I don't want to know. Yeah. So, yeah. Then there was something else I was going to add to that. Yeah, and this was the same as when I dropped Windows XP support. I dropped support for Windows XP before, as soon as I could, because there are so many tiny little issues that can arise from Windows XP. Just things that don't work, and like Windows XP can have bizarre USB driver issues where you plug in a flash drive and it's like, we need drivers for this flash drive, and I'm like, what do you mean you need drivers for it? And things like that. And there's just so many tiny little annoyances, and I'm like,
because it's an 18-year-old operating system.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, I don't need this in my life. So I have the luxury of having enough work that I can pick and choose my jobs. If you have nothing but time because you're just starting out, then you might be fixing whatever comes through your door because that's all you've got. And in which case you may have to work on crappy computers and be very careful with what you warranty. However, if you manage to get to the point where you can pick and choose your jobs, then turn away the crap stuff, turn away the stressful jobs, and you'll be all the better off for it. Because another thing that came up in a video I did recently about the Acer keyboard swap, where I took an easy option for that. I said, I'm making minimal profit on this job. However, I will have this job done significantly faster, which means I can move on to a less stressful job that will make me more money. And that's much smarter than spending another hour on this computer and being stressed and tired and then not wanting to fix anything else. So,
yeah, exactly. It's a case that it's the decision where you're at when you have that volume of work. Because it's like we've kind of, in a sense of where we are, I have the similar thing. It's a case of it's probably worth more money to us to turn away some of the work that we do, because the amount of time it takes to do the work compared with how much we earn on it. It's actually probably overall better off for us to turn it away. But we don't do that yet because we've not actually run the numbers to work out where that is. Yeah. But it's a case that
it's something you've got to keep in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to do that because you never know when that person coming in with something very cheap, very old, or what have you, might actually be connected to something much bigger and something much more worthwhile.
Yes, yeah, that is true. This is one of the reasons why I do the free over-the-counter fixes. And like sometimes when people come in, they say, "Oh, I need to buy a power cable, like an IEC cable." I've got boxes of IEC cables, and when someone comes in and says, "Oh, I need a power cable," I say, "Oh, there you go," and they're like, "Oh, how much is that?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I've got boxes of them," because that person's going to be back next time they want something. And in this instance, like, what could I have charged for that? £3, £5? No. What I did was I gave it to them for free, a cable that I've got boxes of, and that person will be back with something more valuable. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's knowing it's on that front is when it's something very quick that you can get away with. So when it's something very quick, you can turn over very fast. Doing something for free is worth it on that front. Sometimes in the case of, obviously, if it's going to take you a lot of time, it's worth just refusing it earlier because you've got other stuff there.
Don't be afraid to bail on a job that's giving you grief as well. I do that with repairs. Sometimes there are repairs that come in and I'll bang my head against the wall for a bit and I'll realize that this, if I spent a month on it, I might be able to fix it. But there are times where you have to say, I don't know what's wrong with this computer, or there are some repairs where it sits in the to-do pile for a week, and then I'm just like, I don't even know how to approach this one, and I end up just saying to the customer, sorry, I couldn't do it. Now, I work no fix, no fee, so they don't get charged for that. They don't get charged anything. It doesn't cost them anything, but I just give back and go, sorry, we couldn't do it because I don't need that in my life. And then I breathe a huge sigh of relief and I go, oh, thank God I don't need to deal with that computer anymore. Onto something that I will make money on in the next hour, you know? So,
exactly. It's knowing where you are.
Yeah.
And knowing the value of your time as well. Yeah. Because obviously everything can be fixed. It just depends on the time. And it's always the question as well is it worth the amount of time it will take to fix this problem? Is the more economically viable in the entire cycle just going buy new one, data transfer kind of thing? Is that the more viable option for the person who's paying for your time and the goods, and also your time?
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, of course, is that some you win and some you lose. And that is the game that we play, especially when you're like me and you do a flat fee where you look at a job, you judge the value of it, and you say, this is how much I'm going to charge for this job, regardless of how long it takes me. This is the value that I have set on this job. And some you win, some you lose. There are some jobs which you spend a lot of time on for not a lot of profit. But then there are other jobs where you can get away with charging a lot for it because you know that the next computer shop down the road or in the next town probably won't be able to do it. And it may only take you 10 minutes kind of thing. So some you win, some you lose. But the trick is that you do the loser jobs anyway, and you make a mental note. You go, next time I see that fault, I know that one's a long one and I need to charge extra for it. Exactly. And you remember it. And that's where experience comes into it. Right, we are over time. I'm going to whiz through some of the super chats and then we're going to have to turn in because also Big Clive has started up and I know people want to go and watch him. And bless his cotton socks, he's demonetized already apparently. So big sad Big Clive. I'm sorry for you, dude. For the record, we've actually been doing all right for the demonetization situation. That seems to have been resolved and all of our demonetized streams have actually been remonetized again. So our hacks are paying off. Right. Demny BS coming in with the $15 again. Have some funds. Thank you again, Demny BS. Always appreciate you. See you in here often. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Michael Pilgard. There's 2 A's in that, so I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. Sends 80 DKKs, Donkey Kongs. Is that? I don't know what that is. Apparently it's £7. Thank you very much for telling me how much that's worth. Buy a slow watch.
Look at that, people being helpful and stuff.
Yeah, buy a slow watch. I don't know if is that like an electronics kit watch or something like that, something terrible? I think that might be what he's referring to because that OLED watch was really slow. It actually didn't keep time properly. So yeah, I might do that. I do need to do more of the kit streams because they were popular. Michael Martin with £5. Thank you very much. I agree. Work smarter, not harder. I also turn away systems 10 years and older. Yeah, you have to do it. You've got to draw a line somewhere because otherwise, people will bring in pure junk, and you'll be fixing it, and you'll be like, "Why am I doing this? I'm just enabling them." No, get rid of it. Like there are certain times where people say, "I want to fix this laptop. It's got sentimental value." And sometimes when people play the sentimental card, I'll usually say, sure, I'll fix this, but it's going to cost you extra. It's not going to be worth it, and you're not going to get a warranty on it. If you accept those conditions, I will do this job. However, even then, that also assumes that I know what's wrong with the computer. If they come in with a liquid damaged computer that's 15 years old and it's a rabbit hole, I'm just like, no, I still don't want to fix this. So
yeah, absolutely. It's kind of that thing of there are mitigating circumstances for everything. There are ifs, buts, and therefores for every rule. Yeah. And you have to decide what those are for you.
Yeah.
And how much time you're willing to put into stuff.
And experience on the job will let you make that call. And also trusting your judgment, because also there's 2 stages to experience. There is gaining the experience by being on the job and then learning to trust that experience, because there will be times where you'll make the same mistakes again and again because you won't have the courage to turn something down that you've got a bad feeling about. And this is something that that's a mistake that I still make every week, where I'll look at something and I'll be like, I should have known not to take this one. I had a bad feeling about this one when it came through the door. I should have turned it away. I should have trusted my judgment. As soon as I heard the alarm bells ringing, I should have said, no, I got a bad feeling about this one, and made some excuse. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. That's it. Let's turn in, because otherwise we're going to be here all day. Feel like making mistakes is hella important one. Yes, you gotta make mistakes to learn from it. Also, get a Nixie watch. Hella expensive, man. I really want to do Nixie stuff. I have got something actually that I might resurrect. I've got some Nixie bar graphs. I've been sitting on those for years, and I need to make something with them. Anyway,
you need to get into your shop beforehand.
Yes. Yeah. Next stage is get in the shop in a week, hopefully. We'll see.
Soon. At some point.
Soon. Right. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for all the kind words. Thank you for all the questions. Thanks for being here. We will be back next week. Are we going to try Tuesday next week? Is that a thing we want to try?
Certainly can do, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna next week we're gonna do Tuesday evening. Just because we want to try a weeknight, not a Saturday night or whatever. So
absolutely. So we want to try an evening, but during the week, just to see if that makes any difference. And we just makes any variances.
Yeah, Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. UK time, and we're going to test that and just see how it goes. And as I say, we're testing different times just at the moment. We're just gauging how many people show up, just seeing what it does with the numbers. However, so far, I don't think we're going to do another Saturday evening, because it doesn't seem to help us, is what I'm seeing from these numbers.
Yeah, it doesn't particularly make any difference.
Yeah.
And it's the case that what I'm hoping will happen is that we'll be able to, at some point, actually get to the point where we've got enough time with other stuff to actually tag up the VODs so people want to watch them later.
Yes, that would be nice as well. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And as in this Tuesday or the following Tuesday. So that will be Tuesday the 2nd. That'll be Tuesday the 2nd. So yeah. So in the next one, I might have the keys to the new shop.
Hopefully.
Woo! Right, maybe try 10 p.m. Nah, too late. I don't want to be up that late. Anyway, we're going. Thank you very much, everyone. The Discord link is there. Continue the conversation, etc., etc. Thanks for tuning in. Cheerio. Bye, everyone.
Come join us.
Come join us. Bye.
Have fun. Goodbye. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. So long.
There we go. And